Welcome, guys. We are over here talking with Bryce Thompson and his dad, Rob Thompson. You know him primarily doing games with us over here at YurView, and Bryce is a star on the hardwood over here in Tulsa. So, how you doing today, guys?
Doing good. How are you? Good, man. Needing a haircut and all this stuff, but hanging in there and trying to stay safe.
Stingray Rod over there striking the caveman pose, huh?
You know it.
Well, guys, what we normally do to start off the show, we allow the listeners and the viewers to kind of get to know you guys by playing a little bit of an icebreaker round. We call this the pregame. You know, us athletes like to get a little stretched out before things start to really get going over there on the hardwood or on the football field. So I'll ask you a couple of questions outside of sports and some, staying within the realm of sports, and I'll see your preferences as far as that goes. Now, y'all cool with that?
Yes, sir. Got it.
All right, first question. Okay, we'll start with Bryce. Bryce, as far as NBA players, I got two guys. I want you to tell me, which one of these guys you prefer, and you can give me a reason why, or you can just leave it be. All right. So James Harden or Steph Curry, which player do you prefer?
I believe Steph Curry is probably a better player. I mean, what he's done, back-to-back MVPs, and plus with the, I think he has three NBA championships. So I have to go with Steph on that one.
Okay, Rod. As far as dunkers, who do you think was the best dunker back in his day? All right, is it Shawn Kemp or Dominique Wilkins? Which one?
That's a good one. You came with that one on there. I'm gonna go with Dominique. I thought they both, definitely jumped way above the rim. I just like the authority that Dominique Wilkins was able to dunk with. Of course, I remember back when him and Michael Jordan had that epic slam dunk contest finals in Chicago, and some say he got ripped off because it was in Chicago. But I'm gonna go ATL, Dominique dunking on you with authority. So I'm gonna go Dominique over the Rain Man.
All right. Let's go into a little bit of a lane that you two guys are a little familiar with. Apparently, you guys are big car guys. So let's start with you, Bryce. All right, if I could give you one of the two, you got to choose one of them. All right, would you go with the Ferrari or the Lambo? You can only choose one.
I think I'm gonna have to go Ferrari on that one.
Really?
Ferrari, is more elegant, more classy, more laid back for a guy like me. Kind of fits my personality, so I have to go Ferrari on that one.
Well, not the butterfly doors though, with the Lambo coming up, still with the Ferrari.
Yeah, I like both of them, but I think Ferrari got him. That's the thing.
All right, Rob, your turn. As far as cars go, I got a little bit of an inside source. So, which are you choosing? Are you going with a Cutlass or a Camaro? One of the two. You got to choose one.
Well, I've been fortunate to have both. So can I pick both of them? No.
Only one.
I do have both, but I'm gonna go with the Camaro. I've always kind of liked the Camaro, and we have a '69 Camaro convertible that we enjoy driving. And so, but I love my Cutlass. It's one of the best driving muscle cars that you can get, of course, because the body is a little bit bigger, so it rides a lot better than the Cutlass. But I'm gonna go with the Camaro, preferably the RSSS, like that. The hidden headlights on them right there, Deion. I give you a little knowledge right there, so you'll know what to buy.
I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Let's go ahead and venture over to the music side of things. If we'll go ahead and we'll start with you, Rod, because since it's back in your day. I mean, we all know the big controversy, the big beef that was going on, and I want to ask you. I asked Coach Lorenzo last week. I'm going to ask you this week: Biggie or Tupac? Who are you going for?
I'm going. I love Biggie. I think he's unbelievable. I'm going Tupac.
Really?
Yeah, I always was too. And that was during the time that I was playing at TU, and for every game we were listening to Tupac. And a great story, real quick, before the time he got shot, I was playing with a touring team, and 2 days before, I was in Vegas, staying there about 3 blocks away from where he got shot. I left that day before, and the next day he was shot. So I'm going, my man Tupac, all eyes on me. I'm going Tupac on.
All right. Bryce, I tried to dive into your social media a little bit to kind of gauge which way you were going to go here or what your preference is, but just let me throw out these 2 names and you decide which one you want to go with, all right? Lil Baby or Travis Scott? Which one do you prefer?
Lil Baby for sure.
Yeah?
New album 24/7. He's the hottest out to me for sure.
All right.
I'm gonna say they don't make that music like they used to, man. You can't hear that stuff. I like to hear the words and know what they're talking about. You know, good.
Oh, you're not here for the mumble rap?
I'm not here for the mumble rap.
Well, guys, we're talking to Rod Thompson and Bryce Thompson. Bryce is a big-time star over there for Booker T. Washington, a senior guard, 6'5", 180 pounds, recently signed with Kansas. We're talking with him and his father right now. And guys, the pregame's over. It's time for the hard-hitting questions. Everybody get your game face on, all right?
Good.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with you, Rod. I mean, just talk about a little bit about your earlier days playing and tell me why you decided to start playing the game of basketball.
I started early. I had an uncle when I was a big, small town that really he coached us and everything and really got me involved in all sports. I was probably fell in love with baseball first. I played baseball all the way through high school, and so we had to be pretty successful, had some other good teammates there. And so that kind of really sparked me as far as basketball. That, and I remember when I was probably like in the 5th or 6th grade, the University of Tulsa came down and did a basketball camp. M. Beggs, Jamal West, some of the great players that played at Tulsa came down and did a camp when I was very young. And from that day on, I was hooked. Still play baseball, but that's really how I got started in basketball.
Okay, Bryce, I kind of want to ask you the same question there. I mean, what's the reason why you play the game, and are there other sports that you were interested in that basketball kind of stole you away from those?
Growing up, I also played football. All the way up until 5th grade, I was pretty good, but I took a couple hits, and Pop was like, "Hey, it's time to focus all in on basketball." From that point on, I just been playing and just progressing through the game. And I play it to have fun. I play it to be the best. I play it to win. It's just something I love to do, and that's all it is for me.
Speaking on your experience playing ball and now coaching your son and being involved heavily into the game, Rod, I mean, as far as with your perspective, is the game very much different, and does it vary a lot from the way it's being played today back when you were playing?
Well, I think so, especially in the area that I'm in as far as summer basketball. Back then the summer basketball was kind of based on your overall development to try to get you ready for high school. Now it's changed. Summer basketball has become, I think, less about the overall development and more about my team is better than your team, Deion. And I think that's where it's changed. I think that, hopefully we can get back to the development side of kids making improvement, working on the things they're not good at, and the overall skill side. Nowadays you can play a tournament every single weekend. You can play 2 in a weekend. Before you play maybe 2, maybe 3 tournaments a month. So that's where it's definitely changed the skill side, and there are advantages of being able to play, but to me that's been the biggest change. Is just what was the why for the summer basketball. Now it's just I got the best team, this is what I do, I play here, and I think the development side has been lost some, and I think we've seen that some in our game. Games mean less if you play 100 games. A loss is not going to mean as much to you. So, hopefully to get back to maybe not as much playing and more skill work, working on the development. So, overall, when you get ready to go, you're able to be in a better place as a basketball player.
Speaking of those summer basketballs, you're very big in the AAU circuit, and Bryce has dominated for a couple of years now. I mean, as far as other players that you've coached, who are some of these guys that we would know, especially from the state of Oklahoma?
I think, when you look at some of the ones you talk about, Keaton Page, who had an unbelievable career at OSU, Mitchell Solomon also at OSU, Ken Holman was a great player at ORU, Tyler Falcon with the University of Denver, Blaze Staub. I mean, of course, you got to talk about the Boone twins, who were outstanding players at Memorial, now OSU, and just a list of guys that we were able either to coach or be able to train and see their overall development, and you don't take that lightly. And I'll be the first to say that Bryce has really benefited from, a lot of those guys. And what I mean by that when I had the earlier teams that we had, Bryce was just a youngster watching those guys, how hard they worked, how hard they competed, how they competed on the national level. And it really helped his development in his overall game because he was so used and he was immersed in it at such an early age. And the biggest thing that I always say, he could touch those guys. And he could touch them. So he saw them compete. He's seen how hard they had to work in order to be very good players. So not only myself and other players, but the older guys have definitely played it for us. And those are just a few, and I'm getting a lot of the other ones. But we've been fortunate to have some outstanding players and really blessed, and a lot of younger players have really benefited.
Speaking of putting in work and your work level, Bryce, I mean, I've heard around around Tulsa, the work ethic that you have and just the amount of hours that you put in the gym. I mean, what's the motivation behind that? How did that start? Tell me a little bit about that.
A lot of Kobe. I really admire Kobe and what he did for the game and how he approached every game, every workout, tremendous detail and tremendous intensity. So, I just try to mirror that, and a lot of it is just the love for the game. If you love something, you'll do as much as you can. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have a gym that I can get in 24/7. That's just those two things going hand in hand has really produced a pretty good player.
I would say myself as well. So Rod, I mean, we've seen what he's accomplished now, and a lot of people are kind of getting notice of it. I mean, starting sophomore, junior year. But when did you see the abilities that Bryce had and knew that he was going to be special? I mean, you've seen a lot of guys come across your face and guys that put in the work. But when did you notice that this kid is special?
Well, I'll always say this, Deion. I think this is important across the board. I think that, I always say that people fail to focus on the beginning. I said, and that's why when you see NBA guys or NFL guys, and this being the good football player that you were at OSU, sometimes you feel like those guys are untouchable or that someone may not be good enough to play there. And I believe that happens because we never focus on the beginning. We never look back. One thing that draws us to Michael Jordan was that he got cut as a sophomore or as a junior. One thing that draws us to Steph Curry, you look at Steph Curry and he looks like us. He's not tall. He's not, and you can go back to the beginning. I think I realized it with Bryce. One, he had a work ethic early. A lot of people have talked about him wanting to get up in the morning and work out. And I challenged him when he was in the 5th or 6th grade and said if he wanted to go early in the morning, that he would have to wake me up. The moment he started doing that, I knew he had the love for it. I knew we had access to gyms. That's all why I always said to him, good or great. He's going to have a chance to be good because he was around, very good players, but being great takes a big difference. I think that he could always shoot the ball, but I say, Deion, when I start looking at his game, probably 9th, 10th grade year, when his athleticism started catching up with his skill. So, the other part of his games developed. He was, just a guy, he was skinny, couldn't really maneuver with the ball, but we worked on those things and his strength, and he still could shoot the ball. So I say probably 9th, 10th grade year, because kids change so much, I felt like he had a chance to be pretty good. But the foundation of that was the hard work and the work ethic. And I'll say this, Deion, I think it transcends it transcends everything that we do. And that's the great thing I love about sports. Think about this, and I'll say this, and I'll brag on you right here. Think about, and I was there, think about the first football game that you did on TV to where you have come now. I mean, the first football game, you're like, oh, what's this guy doing out here?
Yeah.
But I think that your work ethic, how hard you work, the time that you put in, learning from your mistake. I still remember you coming asking me questions. What do you think I need to do right here? And I think that's important. And I think now you're sitting there hosting a show. So I think that when you have that work ethic and have that drive, not being scared to make mistakes and being able to push yourself, I think it makes all the difference in the world. And that is the greatest thing that I love about sports, that it transcends everything that we do. It's like running the last sprint. Okay, let's knock it out. I didn't play well. Okay, I got to go get it. So those are some of the things that I felt like that Bryce has. And I think that when you talk about his characteristics, I think it bleeds over into everything. Maybe the guy that didn't play sports, that work hard in his specific field. So I think those are some of the things you look at, and kudos to you. You're doing a great job. And you got leaps and bounds so much better, just like I did when I started. So I think those things are so key and so important.
Well, thank you for that. So I appreciate that a lot, because you did one of the guys not only on the AAU circuit in basketball, but you didn't just teach kids in this part of the Oklahoma about basketball, also about media as well. Me being one of your finer proteges right here. But speaking of being proud and having people to look up to and mentor and watch them grow, Bryce, as far as his growth and his development, I mean, I'm a kid from a father who I had a close relationship. I have a close relationship with two other brothers, and we've been through some ups and some downs, and we played sports together. And so I always remember wanting to, do well, but not just do well for myself, but do well for my father and for his, gratification, and for him to be proud of me. So as far as, I don't want to get into making Bryce feel uncomfortable here with some cheesy moments, but tell us, like, what was the moment where you were most proudest of your son athletically? Because I know all fathers want to say that there's moments outside of the court or the field where they're proud of their child. But I mean, on the court, when were you the most proudest of Bryce?
You're going to make me go get some tissue here. No, I think there's a number of things, a couple of things that I was really proud of how selfless he was on the court. I thought that was huge. And again, Deion, I thought that, in using sports and being around sports, it made me really proud how hard he worked, because I knew that would bleed over. But I think one of the highlights of Bryce and I and all the hard work was probably of course, winning the state championship. I was fortunate to win 3. He only won 1. We'll talk about that later. But I think winning the state championship, of course, and seeing all this hard work, but probably becoming a McDonald's All-American and becoming a 5-star recruit, because those were some of his goals. And I always stress to him, and in interviews, they always ask him, man, what do you think when he became a 5-star? And Bryce will tell you, I always tell him, like, hey, I want you to be a 5-star when you're done. And to see the way he carries himself, having a job, working. I had so many coaches say, I don't think there's another 5-star kid that has a job, and he's working, and the way he gives back. Those are the things that's so important. I think that when you talk about becoming a McDonald's All-American, becoming the only 10th player in the state, the 3rd at Booker T with all this rich tradition, I think for me, because that was a goal, and you realize that, you can work hard, you can put all that time in, and you may not be able to do it. It was probably really special to me because I was nominated. I always say they were hating on me. They were sleeping on me. Back in 1994, they didn't get me to be a McDonald's All-American, but I was just really proud of his work ethic and how he continues to give and is always willing to help younger players, but I think those are 2 highlights: winning the state championship, playing at a school like Booker T. Washington, but definitely becoming a McDonald's All-American. And so when you have those milestones that you have, and you're able to go on this journey together with your son, like you're saying with your dad, you can't put a price on it. And as we get older, Deion, you played, and you understand this too. And one day I'm sure you'll have a son, or a daughter, And I said, I was saying the other day that, I wasn't good enough to be an NBA basketball player. But if somebody asked me right now, would I rather me have a career playing in the NBA or my son? I would definitely say my son. There's no joy that I get than him out there playing and making the right play and playing the right way. So I'm really proud of him of everything. And I do feel like that he's just not a 5-star on the court. I feel like he's a 5-star off the court. And he didn't win 3 state championships like me, but hey, you don't get everything, Deion. So you're gonna get it one day,
You certainly don't get everything, but I mean, unfortunately, this life it's not easy, and things come up like the situation that we're in now. I mean, the pandemic has broken out, and it kind of affecting kids in so many different aspects. And Bryce, it kind of affected you first there, especially with the other basketball players across the state. I mean, you were involved in the opportunity to go for your 2nd state championship, and then all of a sudden we all get that phone call and where there's no more championship to be played. Take me back to that moment. How were you feeling, and express to us how disappointed you were that you didn't get an opportunity to finish off your senior year?
Yeah, I was in my truck. I was in my truck about to head over to the field house for walkthrough right before we were heading over to Memorial. So everybody was feeling good, and then Coach brought us together and was like, they're trying to postpone it because of this virus, and then we kind of thought it was serious, but we didn't know it was gonna trickle down the way it did with the NBA and everything closing. So it was rough. I mean, we were sad. Cause you put in all that time, throughout the whole season, trying to get to that point right there, and to have it cut off literally like the day of the first state game is rough. I mean, we were trying to go get that second one, go back to back, and to have that taken from us, it was rough.
And not only that, I mean, your dad just mentioned how proud he was of you being nominated as a McDonald's All-American, something that's tough to do, something that you fight and you work and you put in so much effort to accomplishing pretty much your whole entire life, and then it's also gets snatched away from you pretty violently. Tell me about how you felt when that took place as well.
Yeah, I kind of expected that. I kind of expected that was gonna happen after state, but again, it was rough. I mean, that's you look forward to stuff like that, being able to compete with literally the nation's best, and get to go at it in front of college or NBA scouts and stuff like that, and also just have a good time with the players, and enjoy the process, enjoy the experience. So it was rough. I mean, it's definitely something I wish I could go back and do, but stuff happens and life goes on.
I say this, Deion, talking about the McDonald's game, and I was flooded with phone calls about, man, I sure hate that Bryce is not getting, able to play the McDonald's game. And, and I always try to teach Bryce and my daughter Sydney, be thankful, because the thing that I pointed out, yes, it was a chance for him to play again in front of NBA scouts and be able to play against the best on a national level, go to the hospital, be able to do that. And, and the thing that I always said, Deion, is that he's always going to be a McDonald's All-American. It'll be a star there because he didn't get to play the game. But my thoughts and prayers to the kids who are going to be seniors who's not going to get to have a summer this year. And I say all the time that Bryce wouldn't have been a McDonald's All-American if he wouldn't have had a summer. He had an unbelievable summer. Capped it off by playing well at Booker T until they cut it off. So there's a whole group of kids out there that maybe could make that jump and have an unbelievable summer just like Bryce did, that's not going to get that opportunity. So I know that because I coach kids who, could have that opportunity to play well in the summer. And so, we're just trying to be thankful and be in that situation. But, I told him, 2020, not getting to play the McDonald's game, all this stuff going on. I told him somebody's going to read his book now because it's, COVID came in and COVID going to help sell some books or something. But, just trying to be thankful for what we have and be mindful of those kids who, don't get an opportunity to play a whole summer, this summer. So it's been pretty tough, but just trying to, stay thankful with the whole deal.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty disappointed, too. Me and Johnny Dash was about to go get some airline tickets and head down to H-Town and come check you out over there. We had some plans. I was a little disappointed with you. Well, as far as that goes, and the whole pandemic rolling the way it is, I mean, Rod, as far as with your expertise and the people that you talk to around the state, I mean, what's your prediction, or what do you know as far as how this all is going to end, or what do you think is going to happen as far as, you know, high school sports taking place again in next season?
Man, yeah, I think that it's up in the air. I don't think anybody knows right now. I think when you look at this, and I think about how it's going to change sports. You know, I was watching we were watching as a family The Last Dance last night, and I spoke on how you see Michael Jordan, everybody running out of the tunnel, giving everybody five, and how cool it was for the kid to have Michael Jordan or somebody slap five. Well, those days could be done, you know, and you start thinking about the severity of what we're dealing with and what we're going through. And as we know, it may not affect me, may not affect Bryce, but it could affect someone else. But, you know, hopefully we find a way, you know, and just, you know, with him going to school, they don't know when he's going to report to school. It's a lot of unanswered questions, and it is uncharted territory. So, I mean, to answer that, I mean, I don't know. I would have thought that maybe it would be over with. They would have a graduation. You see, they're not having any of that, you know. So I do think that we're in uncharted territory. And, you know, I just think we got to continue to pray, try to be safe, and hopefully soon we can get back to normal. I mean, you being the big-time football player that you were, think about if we had a season without football. And I'm a basketball guy, and I've done football, but I mean, I can't imagine a Saturday not sitting down watching teams play. And you know, this is the reality that we're living in now. So I just think we got to be safe, continue to pray, and see what happens. But I think the answer to that question, I don't think anybody knows. And man, that's tough when you don't know, you know?
Yeah, I feel you on that. You just mentioned something that we haven't really talked about yet. I mean, Bryce, you did make the decision to sign with Kansas. Trust me, I was one of those guys sitting at my laptop at work watching the decision and watching the everything unveil. A couple of my coworkers walking down to my office talking about, man, he didn't sign. I bleed orange and black, and I was a little salty. I'm not gonna lie, Bryce. You see the jersey back there. You see it. I was a little salty, but what went down as far as you making that decision? I mean, what led to that? And then, you know, talk about a little bit about the plans now going with the pandemic. How has everything changed and altered?
You know, just building a relationship, you know, over the years, you know, just with Kansas, you know, they've been very prevalent in my recruitment, and, you know, they've been there, and we built a great relationship. You know, I've been down for multiple visits, and, you know, I've had a good time and enjoyed it each time. And, you know, Coach Self coached my dad at Tulsa, so, you know, that was a big one. You know, they had a great relationship and still do to this day. So, you know, that's good. And, you know, I also had a good time with the players. You know, that's something I'm going to be around with, you know, every day, and, you know, working with and going to war with. So, you know, I had to make sure it was a good group of guys that I felt comfortable with, and I did. And I just loved the campus, loved everything about it. So I just felt it was a great pick for me.
You know, Deion, I will say this, that you know, the hardest decision, and I will say every basketball decision that he made, you know, that was made, you know, up until then, you could probably say that I made it. You're going to play with this team. And so to be able to do that and have some success, I mean, have him get to this decision and he has to make it, I admit it's pretty tough for me, you know, but he was fortunate and blessed to have some unbelievable coaches, some great guys, you know, that he was tied to. Of course, you talk about OSU and, you know, and Coach Boyd, that was one of the, you know, the hardest phone calls, you know, because he did a tremendous job recruiting us. Of course, you know, Coach Kruger, you know, North Carolina and all these. So had some great schools recruiting, but it was a very tough decision. And you know, I had to, you know, let Bryce make that decision, and he did. And so we're just going to continue to work and just continue to be thankful for all the guys and the memories we were able to develop with, you know, all those guys that recruited me.
It's funny too, because it's like when you're in athletics, you find a way to grow up faster and mature faster because of the things you have to accomplish and achieve, and the self-discipline that you have to have within yourself. But that decision right there is the first one you have to make as a grown-up, because it's the first time. Like my dad is similar to your dad, Bryce. I'm telling you right now. I mean, he had his hands on us like, nope, you're doing this, you're doing that. But that decision right there, I look to the side and be like, all right, so what should I do? And he's like, hey, I've raised you right, man. This is a decision you got to make on your own. And that's one of the things you're just like, wow. First of all, I can do what I want here. And first of all, I'm in charge of my future. So that's a big time decision to make, man. So I mean, if you can answer this question if you do or you don't, but I mean, who was number two? Who was number two? I had to ask, man. I had to ask. Speaking of, your dad mentioned that you work a job and you're a 5-star. Where are you working at?
I work at Foot Locker in Woodland Hills Mall. Yes, sir.
You don't say. You don't say. So you the plug, huh? So
everybody but his daddy. I got shoes. Go work at Foot Locker. How about that?
The shoe game is on fire, huh? The shoe game is on fire. Okay. Well, we need to get together after this interview. I got a couple of questions for you, my man.
That's cool.
But so I hear you speak more than one language. Tell me a little bit about that, and how did that even come about?
Growing up, my parents put me in an immersion elementary school, so I went to Eisenhower, and there I studied French. Kindergarten through 5th grade. And in 5th grade, I went to France for a month and stayed with the host family. And still to this day, I still connect with the host family I stayed with. I'm still good friends. And I took it in middle school and I took it in high school. I took a year off this year, so that's about it, man. It was good. It was a great experience. France had some great food, great weather. It was overall, it was good. I'm glad they put me in it.
Why'd you choose French?
They chose French. My sister did Spanish.
Well, City did Spanish, and at the school you couldn't decide. The school decided for you. And so just so happened on the draw he was French and our daughter Sydney was Spanish. So she got to go to Spain, I think. Yeah, she went to Spain and he went to France in the 5th grade. So they kind of choose for you. So I was kind of glad from that standpoint, me and my wife Goldie, because we didn't want them having the same language and talking behind our backs, and we not kind of worked out for the better.
Hey, trust me, my parents speak a second language as well, and you figure out very quickly what they're saying, especially if it's if you're on the line there. But all right, so I did a little research behind you guys, and I found some interesting videos. Some that were pretty intense competition wise. The legendary horse competition between you and your dad. And I have to ask this: the last time you guys played horse, who won?
It was probably me.
I'm sure. Pull out the footage. Only way he won, Deion, if he started dunking the basketball.
That's what I was gonna bring up. Bryce, why you doing your man like this, man? Why you doing your man like this?
I mean, it came down to jumpers, and he got down, I think HORS to HO, and all of a sudden he started trying to dunk the basketball.
When that E came up on that last, he said game point. He had to bring it out, huh?
That's pretty weak right there, But next time we're gonna have some guidelines before we jump in and start playing the horse game. So
no, I hear you. Well, we just got an opportunity to see The Last Dance and see Michael Jordan and his era, and we as kids and guys that weren't really aware of sports like we are now, we got to hear the allure of Michael Jordan and the '98 Bulls. I mean, did you guys watch that together? And if so, I mean, what did you take from it?
Yes, we did watch it as a family. Every week, late nights, we were ready, had our food ready, and we were watching it. It was a great documentary, man. I didn't really know, I knew a nice amount, but I didn't know all the details and stuff about Michael Jordan, what he went through, and like the gambling and his, flu game, all that. I didn't know it was pizza. I didn't know it was the police delivery guy. Just little stuff like that you don't know. And I was very thankful for that 30 or the little documentary, because it shed a lot of light on Michael Jordan and what he went through and how great he was. I mean, I think he's one of the greatest of all time, or the greatest of all time.
And I tell Bryce that I was the guy that grew up watching that. That was right in my era. I was like in high school and even in college when they won the last one. I had every pair of Jordans that came out. I put out a picture a while back. I was fortunate enough to make All-State in 1994, and we're just looking at some old pictures, and someone took a picture of me walking out of, I think, Lloyd Noble. That's where we played, and in my hands I had some Jordans in my hand, and I was telling Bryce, like, look, man, y'all got these shoes. I've been wearing these shoes. I've been having them. So, I got to experience Michael Jordan. Stacey King, who played at OU, was on the team, and when I was younger, I had an aunt who went to school at OU and was great friends with Stacey King. So some of those practice jerseys that they had, he sent me a couple of practice jerseys from there. And so my uncle was a huge Bulls fan. My grandparents lived in Evanston, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. So, I was always a Bulls fan, always a Michael Jordan fan. And man, it was just awesome to see, his work ethic and, his journey and the success they had, and to be able to watch that as a family and being a basketball family was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And it's just crazy to see, how the shoes and everything is taken off, and, how they're coming back, and to think like I was telling Bryce, I had every pair that came out. They were so cheap back then, but it was an awesome deal and something great to be able to share as a family.
All right, so Bryce, I gotta ask you, man. We watched the doc. We've seen it all, man. Who's the greatest of all time, Kobe or MJ? Let them know.
I think you gotta go Mike. Because Kobe, he got his game from Mike. Mike was the originator, and Kobe did his best to mirror him. It was like a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. So, I had to go Mike number one, and I'll probably put Kobe number two.
But what iPhone is better, the iPhone 9 or the iPhone 10?
I know, but still.
It's an upgraded version, though, right? Like,
it was some stuff that Mike did. Kobe was close with the championships. Kobe had 5, Mike had 6, and they did a lot of similar stuff. But I think you just got to give it to Mike. You just got to.
Man, I was just hoping you would say Kobe, so we could see your Twitter just blow up, man. See your social media, just everybody just. But I would have had you back, though. I would have had you back. Last question before we get out of here. Bryce, you've accomplished so much. 2-time Gatorade Player of the Year for Oklahoma, state championship, signing with Kansas, make McDonald's All-American. But as far as going on this journey with your dad up until this point, what has it meant to you, and what does it all mean as far as in your perspective, in your words?
It's been a lot. It's been great. You love to have, your father around, always there, always making sure, you're doing the right thing, always stand on you. It's something I don't take for granted, very thankful for. And, I just love, going through this experience with him. He's been there, he put the ball in my hands. So, just be able to go through this experience with him is great. And, we got a lot more to come. I'm still young. We got a lot more.
Well, you sure do. Well, I want to thank both of you guys, Rod and Bryce Thompson, for joining us.